It's a third line day. We are in the gate of the egoist, the taming power of the great, gate 26. And the third line is called influence. The third line of trial and error. Obviously, you're going to have some trial and error in your transmissions, and you're going to have some mistakes in the way that things are described. And you're going to have people who are often accused of being liars because they naturally break bonds, or they'll promise you something and then they break the bond before they do it, and they don't deliver, they don't transmit what they've promised, and so they suffer themselves as well. The lifetime learning says the ability, once prepared, to gather support. Once prepared, this is key, because it's a long-term process. There's a real gift here developing through trial and error, the kind of techniques that will allow them to manipulate memory so that they can successfully serve the community wisely, hopefully, as they work through the harmony to the sixth line. It can take a long time to be prepared. Egos are insecure because it is always up to them whether the will shall be expressed or not. And they're insecure as to whether they can deliver the will and get the reward. Always. It takes time for them to find security in their power. In the exaltation, it says the authority to focus communal effort, the power of the ego to gather support. The tribe loves a liar. The bluster that comes out of politicians and used car salesmen. It's entertainment. And it's the 26 that transmits the propaganda of the tribe. We're the best tribe. We're better than any other tribe ever. And so they gather support. In the vast majority of humanity, because the ego is unaware, this capacity to exaggerate, to transmit to the community, to enlarge things in order to make them attractive, this can become what we call lying. But at the same time, the 26, it's capable of great truth. Like all tricksters, they can tell you as great a truth as they can tell you a great lie, because this is what is inherent in their capacity. The detriment says the leadership, while gathering support, will underestimate potential challenges. The egoist unable to recognize the potential challenges in others. There is nothing more to the point than a salesman who walks into the office and quits, saying, "Let me tell you why nobody buys this product. Let me tell you why nobody can sell this product." They will tell you the truth, and they will put it to you so clearly that you cannot miss it. You might as well close down the factory and go do something else. That challenge potential is the gift of the 44. They can penetrate the 26 and they can say, "Hey, hold on, money talks, bullshit walks." The 44 looks at the 26 and says, "Wait a minute, excuse me." It is one of the things about the ego, the ego gets carried away and it's vulnerable. It either does too much or it ignores the demands and threats that can come to it from others, demands that are made on it by others. The ego is always faced with demands being made on it, either the demands within itself, depending on its design, or most often the demands that are coming from outside. It takes time for the ego to develop strength, and only when it develops that strength can it gather support. The ego is at its strongest when it can accept rejection. This is the only time, really, that the ego is truly strong. No ego is strong that suffers from rejection. It's not possible. If you go out into the world and you're trying to get others to be interested in something, the ratio of those who will actually be positive with you is very small. Rejection is something that is inherent for the ego to learn about. It's why the ego likes to be left alone a lot, because when it goes out there into the world, it will have to deal with that quality of life that always brings rejection to it. And the whole thing about this third line is that you can learn through trial and error how to use your ego to influence the collective. But the moment that somebody sees that you have that gift, they want you to do it for them as well. Not only that, but once they figure out what you're doing, they kind of want to take it away from you, have it for themselves. Egos are always being challenged by competition. So the grounding is coming through the earth in gate 45. The third line is called exclusion. Ra said that this was a very, very weird line. The 45 has a natural place in the community, a natural place in the genetic pool. They are really there to be in charge of material distribution and education, there to protect those that are associated with them. And yet we have this line called exclusion. The third line doesn't want to be excluded, and yet it happens. There can be a lot of suspicion around the ego, and it is not always included in everything. And everything goes back to operating correctly, especially when it comes to entering into relationships, because they are too important to our process to take lightly. Being correct in our experiment doesn't mean that we're going to have a wonderful life, a pain-free life, a life without adventure. This is a third line after all. But it does mean that we will have what is correct for us, what we are equipped to deal with, and this is something to trust. And we are often so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. You know, really, we got this. We're doing okay. All of us. The moon has been in gate 21 since 1541. The channel of the hunter, the huntress, biting through. This is the ego center. And today we have a couple of moon-activated channels. The first, as the moon transits into gate 51 at 1508, meeting the North Node and creating the channel of initiation, a design of needing to be first. This is a channel that gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes. It moves between the ego and the G center, the gate of shock in the ego and the gate of innocence in the G. This channel is part of centering circuitry. It can be quite self-absorbed and sometimes competitive. The needing to be first thing can display in this way, and it can also be about wanting to be unique, wanting to be the first to do anything. This is a projector channel, so although it sounds like it can do things on its own, the channel of initiation is not actually a manifestor channel at all. Recognition and invitation are still required here. Gate 42 is next at midnight, just about 0032. This is the sacral gate of growth. It's also known as the gate of endings. It's a format gate, part of the channel of maturation, which brings the cyclical energy of beginnings and endings to the whole of the abstract circuit and to the design as a whole when it's activated. And finally, we have the moon in gate 3 at 9:54 tomorrow morning, meeting Pluto and bringing us another channel, the channel of mutation. Sorry, not maturation, mutation. This is the format channel for individuality. We know mutation is a key word for this circuit, along with melancholy and deafness. Having this channel in your design brings the pulse energy of change. And we know that mutation takes place between the pulses. But if you carry this channel consistently in your design, you may notice that you bring that energy to people around you. You are an agent of change and transformation, mutation by any other name, for yourself, but also for other people who come into your aura. And so today is big news for me. I am traveling to warmer climes today. Bear and I are taking a trip. We are going to Sri Lanka. Not entirely sure about flying on a third line day, but hey, there you go. So if I don't respond to your comments for a couple of days, then hopefully it won't be for any dire reason, but just because I am acclimatizing to being in a new environment. Might take me a few days to settle in, but then I'll be back to checking in with you and keeping up with your comments. It's funny though, I told a couple of people that I was going away, and even before they said, where are you going, or how long are you going for, or even, yay, well done, good for you, the first thing they said with some horror was like, but what about the transit? It's like, hello, There are other things, maybe there aren't, but rest assured, I have been hard at work prepping the transits, and so there will be no gaps in transmission while I am away. And while my ego is having a bit of a rest, lying on a beach, I may even send you some updates from the beach every now and then. But this is just to let you know what I'm up to over the next few weeks. Yeah, so really looking forward to this. Going to be back after Christmas. Yay! So uh, I'll be going gently. Please join me in the going gently and in loving yourself and in all that groovy stuff. And yeah, I'm very overexcited Bambaji at the moment. So take care. I will be back for the line 4 tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Bye bye for now.